Share it.
You are live.
We are live
Live,
in the
live,
flesh.
live, live,
I love
live,
seeing our
live.
our past recordings has Sahi sitting in the car.
Yeah, I think I was in the line at McDonald's when I started it.
That's how you got to do it.
Uh-huh. Every
Where's the?
time.
Oh my god! All right, we will get it going in just a second. I'm trying to make sure I can share this. Copy link. Close.
Let's get it started, huh? Let's get
Yeah.
it started in here. Ooh, uh-huh. Let's get ooh.
Dang, he's
Da
got
da
all the
da
parts.
da 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 da.
Get into it.
Yeah, how y'all
Getting
like
started.
that?
Getting to
Get it started, get into it. Come on, come on.
it. I'll just have to be the bass. All right.
Running,
I've
running.
thoroughly embarrassed myself as I share, so we can get going. All right. Welcome, everybody. It is, what is today? It's Wednesday, February 22nd, 2023. What a cool number there. 22223. We are here, season 10. Who would have thunk we would have made it this far? I did. We all did. But we're here. The NFL season is over, but we've got to talk about it. The Super Bowl has happened. We got to talk about that. We got some other NFL news to talk about. All that and more right here on the Wire Sports Podcast. And yo, it starts right now.
I'm going in, it's first and 10. I'm a legend boy, a champion. They can't match the flows, the X's and O's. I'm breaking the code, devastation about to unfold. They calling me Derek by the way y'all roll. Bet you never ever seen a pro this cold. I float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. I mix with Iron Mike and the great Ali. I'ma run it back, believe me, baby. I fathered the game, call me Daddy Brady. I'm like that, try be like this. Sammy is so that boy don't miss. It's the return of the greatest. Any way you name it, I'm everybody's favorite. I'm bringing the pain and bringing the fire. Hey, stay tuned, it's going down to the wire.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Yeah, I was going to say it's going down to the wire. All right. Welcome to season 10, everybody. Thanks for tuning in, watching us live. We're on YouTube is the home spot to catch us, but actually our home base, www.h2gradio.com. You can always find us there. And of course, check out our Facebook pages. I think we have an Instagram and a Twitter. But guys, haven't seen you in a couple weeks. We had our season break. How you doing?
Feeling good, feeling great.
You look good.
Tired. I'm tired.
Tired. Yeah,
You
I
look
guess he
tired.
thought he looks good. But I'm tired.
I feel you.
Awesome. Well, hopefully we can wake it up with a little exciting sports talk. Before we dive in, you guys brought some really great topics earlier backstage, and so we'll definitely be getting into those in just a little bit. Before we dive into all of that, we got a Super Bowl to talk about.
We got a Super Bowl to talk about.
Yeah, and the Philadelphia Eagles, we had, yet another gate of some sort. No, I'm just kidding. Let's go around first and just get initial reactions to the game altogether. Your general oversight, then we can dive into some of the details of the game. Whoever wants to kick.
I mean, I'll start it off. I mean, freaking, if you go back to when we were talking about this game, we were talking scores. I think I got it right, 38-35. I just said it was going to go into overtime. I knew it was going to be a back and forth game. These two teams are phenomenal. They just play great all season, especially the Eagles. The Eagles are going to I mean, you didn't know the Eagles were going to come out and go to the Super Bowl this year, but they played great all year, and I kind of thought that was going to continue going into the Super Bowl, and it did. But the Chiefs are a team that's always going to be in it, and they were in it the whole time this game, even though it started off a little scary for the Chiefs. The Eagles are kind of rolling early, but the Chiefs settled in, and they did what the Chiefs do. Um, they made adjustments, and Andy Reid made it happen. So, I mean, it was a great Super Bowl, even if you're not a fan of either team. Um, it was just a great atmosphere. The halftime show was a little like it was Rihanna. I was asking people the whole time before. I think I even asked in the live stream, like, is who's going to be the guest, you know what I'm saying, performer? And she didn't have any guest, and she really just sang all hook, especially towards the end there, like the last like couple songs, and she didn't do SOS, she didn't do Disturbia. So it was a little bit of a letdown for me, but all in all, great performance, great theatrics and all that. Definitely worth the hype, I guess. You could say that, but just a phenomenal Super Bowl. I think one that'll be remembered for a long time for either good reasons or one very bad reason we'll probably talk about.
All right. Well, Jordan said she did have a guest, her baby.
That is true. Everybody, oh, is she pregnant? Rihanna's pregnant. Is she pregnant? Rihanna's pregnant. Hey, I told y'all Rihanna looked pregnant, didn't she? Everybody was saying that. That was so cool.
Before Richie, I know you want to jump in here. I got a take, just a short take. Sahi, and I think you alluded to it. We'll talk about it. You're absolutely right. The Chiefs did what the Chiefs do. They freaking cheated again. All right. I'm going to get over to Richie.
Okay. Here's my take. Going into the game, and I didn't get to, do my prediction or anything, unfortunately. I was in Ohio at my niece's birthday party. But I did not anticipate Kansas City winning. It's really that simple. I am very impressed with their performance. I think the big thing for me with Philadelphia that kind of put me on notice and confused me is Philadelphia was the number one rushing attack, and not just because of Jalen Hurts, but because Miles Sanders has had an incredible season. And honestly, all of them, it was like a committee of running backs that they tried to do, and they were very abysmal. And I think that's what, Jalen Hurts gave them a dominant performance, and Philadelphia got out running. But it's hard to say this. It's really weird to say this, but Philadelphia didn't play like they should have, and that's not Kansas City's fault. And I'm not going to get into Justo's little because here's my opinion on the Super Bowl. There's always one controversial call. Same thing happened with the Rams and the Bengals at the end of the game. It happens. The bottom line is Philadelphia didn't play like they should have to win. And I wouldn't have never guessed, watching how dominant Philadelphia was and how much Kansas City struggled with the Cincinnati, that they would come out and outperform Philadelphia. And that's what they really did at the end of the day. If you look at Patrick Mahomes, it didn't look great, but they ran the ball well. They kind of surprised Philadelphia, in my opinion. And that's why I give them mad props, because Philadelphia, I don't think saw that coming. I don't think they saw Pacheco gonna just run it down their throat. I mean, it was through attrition, but nonetheless, he performed very well. And I was really impressed with Kansas City's resilience, because you see, what was it, 24-7 or something, and they ended up getting a couple points after that into the half, but it ended up being a 10-point. But man, it was looking pretty rough at first. And I'll tell you, that's a very impressive comeback by the Chiefs. And if I'm Philadelphia, we just got to think about, as Philadelphia, I'm not a Philadelphia fan. We got to think about, why did our run game struggle so hard? I mean, that's what I would say. If I'm Philadelphia, what happened? We're the number one rushing offense. Jalen Hurts, let me just go some stats. Jalen Hurts, 300 yards, all right? Ran for 70, ran for 3 touchdowns, and we lost the game. When you hear that, you're scratching your head. But then when you look at the other factors, like I was discussing, the running backs didn't get it done. So I'll say, Kansas City did great. It's not like Philadelphia should have won. Philadelphia shouldn't have won. But if you're Philadelphia, you're scratching your head on that one. That's very strange. You know, it just didn't go the way they wanted it to go. An awesome job by Kansas City. You know, I'll say this much with Patrick Mahomes. You know, again, not that he had some amazing performance, but they let Cheetah go. They're like, yo, we got our white boy, and we'll make it work with the rest of them. And that's what he does, you know? I'll say this right now. I'm a Bengals fan. I love Joe Burrow. But if you got Patrick Mahomes, you can put a bunch of trash in there, and it's going to work because he's that talented of a quarterback. Is he not like some people don't like because he plays a little aggressive and goofy and he does these weird things? But that's what makes him different, right? For good, better or worse, that's what makes him different. And that's what makes him special. And that's why you can have like these third stringers on other teams perform well with him. So congratulations to Kansas City.
Makes him different. Some might say it makes him temporary, though. We might be getting into that conversation a little bit. A little dangerous playing that style. I'm obviously salty against the Chiefs. Trey, what did you think of the game overall?
Overall, I thought it was a great game. I don't think it didn't really make a lot of sense to me because if you look at it, Philadelphia absolutely controlled time of possession, which is exactly how you need to beat Patrick Mahomes. Kansas City. Philadelphia controlled time of possession, which is absolutely how you need to beat Patrick Mahomes. But Patrick Mahomes had a pedestrian game for the most part. Even the second half was pretty. I think he only had like 93 yards in the second half.
Yeah, less than 200 yards. It wasn't really like he did much, to be honest.
It was. I mean, it's crazy, and it's not like they just outran the Chiefs. I think they had like 26 carries for 150 some yards. The ball just bounced their way. They got that return, or else they would have been down by 2 scores, and they just took advantage of the field positioning throughout the entire second half. But shout out to Jalen Hurts, who played an amazing game. 3 rushing touchdowns, 1 pass touchdown. Like it was. I mean, I thought the Philadelphia Eagles were going to run away with it after the first half, and then it just didn't happen that way.
I do have a controversial thing to say, though. I believe that performance by Jalen Hurts, he should have been MVP. They always give it to the winning team. But The fact that Patrick Mahomes got MVP over Jalen Hurts, who once again, 300 yards, 70 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns. And these were tough touchdowns. These runs, these were not like pretty. He was just taking his head, the script. You're an idiot. He was barreling his head. Now, I will say this. We'll see how well Philadelphia's vaunted 4th down conversions are when you can't do the butt push anymore. We'll talk about that probably later in the wire at some point. Maybe not this week. But they're going to stop that butt push.
I don't even think it mattered. Their offensive line... Well,
not with Jalen Hurts, it don't matter.
Yeah. But
I'm
their
talking about
offensive
other
line
people.
Dominated the defensive line of Kansas City, and it made them look very childish. When it came to those conversions, when they're trying to get those yards and they had to get them, I mean, they pushed them back 3-4 yards at a time.
Sure. Well, that's why this game was so strange. But like I said, that's why I give full credit to Kansas City because Philadelphia looked like they were just manhandling them, but then they never got any significant rushing yards, right? So that's why that time of possession was tick, 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 but they're running for like 2.7 yards and stuff, which is shocking when this is a team that averaged over 5 yards per carry. So
I will say this: a lot of people say that Kansas City, not everybody, but a lot of people say that Kansas City are kind of front runners. But this actually showed that they have, even when it's an ugly game, they find a way to win.
Yeah, no, to me, it's the opposite. I mean, I do agree with you that they score a lot early and usually they break people's backs. But when I think of Patrick historically over this franchise with Patrick Mahomes, he's the comeback kid. He's the guy that always comes back and wins the game. That's what he's been doing, quite frankly. And it's always just been those weird situations where they tend to lose is when they're ahead, actually, not when they're behind. Like Cincinnati, every time they were ahead of Cincinnati, and then Cincinnati is the one that would come back and beat them. So that's why when I saw them losing, I wasn't like, oh, phone it in, fellas, like, truthfully. But it was a weird game, and kudos to Kansas City. Weird game because, like you said, time
Super
of possession, all the yards, everything looks like you would look at. If you looked at the stats, there's no way you think this game goes to Kansas City. And this guy's hitting his script. I'll say this, though, for Kansas City, as a salty, well, not salty, as a Bengals fan, I'm not salty. Y'all should be happy you squeezed that game. That's all I'm going to say.
Squeeze, cheat. But I mean, there's different.
It wasn't cheating. It's not their fault. Hey.
There's a lot of words in the dictionary.
They don't control the referees. They're not cheating.
I don't know.
That was a pretty bad call.
I don't know. I think it was a good call.
That was a bad. Well,
2 games in a row. I'll just say
the first time they didn't call the hold, which was it was clearly a hold. The second time, my guy just had his hand there.
Hey, he held him twice. Once when he went inside, and then when he came back out. Hey, you gotta let him go one of those times.
They showed the almost booty touch as the hold. That's what they showed.
Hey, guys.
Right.
It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, if it's a flag, it's a flag. It's really that simple. And that's not the reason they won or lost. It's really that simple. They have multiple opportunities to win this
combination
game,
of those calls.
Yeah, you
got a combination.
I'm still rooting for the Bengals in the AFC Championship. I thought there was some bullshit with that.
Oh, there's a lot of bad calls, but again, I'm not happy. There's 6 bad calls, but at the end of the day, the Bengals lost that game. They could have won that game and should have won that game.
Devontae Smith caught that ball. I don't give a shit what they say.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Chiefs. Even the Chiefs fan is in the comments bringing up more evidence that this could have been scripted since the draft is hosted in Kansas City this year. All I gotta say is this, and this is not on behalf of all media professionals, but I have to speak on behalf of the Wire Sports Podcast directly to Travis Kelce. And anytime we do this, of course, Travis, we know you're a podcaster. Welcome to come on our show and defend yourself. Nobody counted the fucking Chiefs out at any point this year. That was the I've ever heard. Who said the Chiefs were an underdog from day one?
Underdogs.
Never gonna make it to the
He had
playoffs.
to create that story to get that fire going.
No, in all fairness, that's just Michael Jordan stuff. That's what that is, you know?
Yeah.
Like, sometimes you create these false narratives in your head to get yourself up. And clearly, that's what he was drinking because, like you said, the only time I think anyone ever doubted Kansas City was against Cincinnati, just due to the nature of their last couple games. But outside of that spectrum, nobody ever was like, man, Kansas City's not going to win. Like, that's absurd.
I thought that was ridiculous. All right. Yeah. Any other Super Bowl deep dives we want to get into, conversations about either team going forward, or do we want to move on to our other topics?
I feel like move on. Other than, like I said, kudos to Pacheco, man. That dude balled out.
You know, one of the weird things about the Super Bowl, it's not really about the game. It's about a commercial. You guys know that commercial where they play where it looked like somebody was controlling your TV?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, everybody remembers that. Does everybody remember the commercial before that?
No.
No, it was a commercial about Jesus.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's a commercial about Jesus, and then the very next commercial, it's like another presence is in your room, is in your home, and everybody's like freaking out. That thing's just like the way that connected just blew my mind. And you know, it's not an accident, or these commercials or how they set them up. It's like you got to pay a lot of money for these slots.
Yeah,
because I'm like, who's paying all this money for a Jesus commercial?
The Jesus commercial, yeah.
Yeah, and then right after, I'm like, hold on, who's doing this to the TV? It was just like really weird. Like, I don't know what happened like that.
I forgot. I think that was
that.
The most expensive commercial of the Super Bowl because I think it was the longest one, the Jesus one.
Really?
Yeah, I'm serious. Like
it was a full minute.
I'm gonna.
I mean, the church does have a lot of money.
Hey, the Vatican is first and foremost a bank.
Yeah.
God is paying for it.
God is paying for it.
$14 million for that Jesus commercial.
My.
$14 million.
They got it. They've been robbing
Nah,
offering
Jesus.
for all of eternity.
Nah, Jesus,
So
we're going to have to get
it's
the
a
word
lot
out
of
of the
tithes
way.
and offering.
Yeah.
That's
a
what I was gonna
lot
get
of
at.
tithes and offering.
That's where your tithe goes, people, right there.
Oh
To the
my!
Super Bowl.
Yeah. We may have to piggyback this conversation over to Free Mess and come in
Yeah.
as a
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, for
like
sure.
guest host. Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, there you have the Super Bowl, folks. Please jump in the comments there with Jordan. Jordan, obviously, thank you for commenting on that conversation. Let us know what you think about the Super Bowl and any of that stuff. And of course, we called you out, Travis Kelce, so you're welcome to come on the show. And yeah, if you're gonna do that, bring your brother so we can get some ratings. Okay. So, the next topic, Richie and Trey and Sahi have been given some great ideas all day. We're gonna go into a quarterback conversation. Last year, obviously, we spent a lot of time on the quarterback carousel, and so that is a carousel that may be revving back up. Very possibly revving back up. So the first conversation, I'm going to list off some quarterbacks. These are possibly free quarterbacks that teams could go after. Which of these quarterbacks would you rather have? So we've got Jalen Hurts. We've got Daniel Jones, Aaron Rodgers, Derek Carr, and, of course, our boy Lamar Jackson. Which of these potentially free quarterbacks, and please add one if I missed one. I think I got
Yeah, if there's any, yeah, sure. Like Brock Purdy and all those. You never know. We don't know.
Baker
Trey
Mayfield.
Lance.
You say Baker?
Mayfield.
I didn't say Baker or Brock. I'll get their stats up.
Did you say Burrow?
Yeah, whoever wants to kick it off.
We didn't say Burrow, but well, you know what? Why don't we just go with this? Why don't we just go with who'd you take next year? Let's just go with that. Now we're just throwing it all in there. Who cares?
Okay, yeah. If you could get a quarterback next year for your team,
Who
would
you
it
taking?
be?
Because at this point, we already took half the NFL before this, so who cares? We're at like 12 quarterbacks out of 30, so whatever.
Well, the only reason I said Burrow is because I think he's got this year and next year left. So
This year,
need to
next
get
year.
a deal.
Yep.
They got to get a deal done this year, and I would get a deal done this year because the price is just going to go up.
Yeah, it's going to keep going up.
And the Cincinnati's notoriously cheap.
Yeah, but, and I'll say this, I hear this all the time. The Cincinnati defender, they said the same thing about Carson Palmer, they made him the richest man in the NFL when Carson Palmer was drafted in his next contract. So he will pay him. It just, obviously, like you said, he's cheap. So that's why I think they're going to do it this year. They're not going to wait.
Well, it's that, and they got to do Higgins. They got to do T. Higgins. They got to do Joe Mixon. Like, they have some bills coming due. So the earlier you get this done, you could structure that contract to help out with keeping some of the pieces that you need in order to be as dynamic as you are. Because Jamar Chase is coming due as well.
Oh, yeah. Well, no. I mean, here's my thing. I'm a huge Bengals fan. Insider scoop. Sorry to change the conversation. I love T. My concern is right now they're more likely to let T go because they don't want to have to pay him $25. So I'm a little worried about that. But, yeah. All right, so quarterback. I'm just going to go with quarterback right now. I'm going to stay away from my boy. I'm going to say Joe Burrow's not eligible for my pick because obviously I would just default, and that's boring. I'm going to go with Jalen Hurts, actually, out of all these other guys. I'm going to go with Jalen Hurts. I was such a Jalen Hurts hater at the beginning of the year, and let me explain my genesis of this year. He was auto-drafted for me on the Free Mess NFL fantasy thing, and I need to fess up right now. I was pissed, not because I don't think not because I don't think he can get fantasy points, but again, it's just like he wasn't my guy. I'm gonna call it that way, right? He wasn't my guy. I didn't want him as my guy, and Devontae Adams is my guys. Those are my guys that drafted me, Jalen or Devontae, and then it drafted me Jalen. And I was incredibly angry because I was just like, man, this is like a much better Tim Tebow. That's how I viewed Jalen Hurts, to be honest. I said he was a much better Tim Tebow. So I was not happy with this. And then 8 games into the year with A.J. Brown, I was just like, dude, I was converted. It was like atheist to like Christian in all seriousness. So to me, watching his Super Bowl performance, man, like there's other guys. There's Justin Herbert. He's a dog too. We all know that. Like, Lamar Jackson's an incredible talent as well. And obviously I hope he gets his money. It sounds like he's not going to be in Baltimore, to be honest, which is why he's likely possibly somewhere else. But to me, if I wasn't going to take Joe Burrow, I'm taking Jalen Hurts even over a guy like Patrick Mahomes. Like, this dude is what, like, this is a different type of running quarterback. You know what I mean? Like, this is like Michael Vick, and honestly, another one, Daniel Jones. But like, Jalen Hurts is just a fucking monster. Pardon my language. I love this guy. Like, you don't even need a running back on those short yardage situations. I'd rather take Jalen Hurts than anyone besides Derrick Henry. Like, this dude is a beast in the weight room. He's not just like tall. This guy is just a beast. He is absolutely a man among like children when he's running. And what more could you ask for? His always knock has been like, he can't really air it out. And I'm not saying he's a sharpshooter. He's not Joe Burrow. He's not Patrick Mahomes. But I'll tell you what, he's in the top 10 in everything that matters statistically. His completion rate's 67, which is, not the best, but it's good enough. And this guy is a monster. He had one of the best Super Bowl performances I've seen in a long time. And that's my guy now. He's like my number 2 in, like, outside of my fandom, my number 1 outside of that. He's so awesome to watch. Man, this guy, people have been hating on him since he got drafted. So I love seeing this success story. And, man, he's a monster. So that's my guy.
According to ESPN, had 3,701 yards, 22 touchdowns, only 6 interceptions. They give him a 66.4. Jalen Hurts. Solid pick. Also, side note, Lamar Jackson, Pittsburgh is always a great place this time of year during the fall.
No, you don't want to go there.
Stop it.
You don't want to go there. You already know you wouldn't want to go there, dude. Get out of here.
I mean, they've got some really great mac and cheese.
Here's the problem with Pittsburgh, Lamar. They have too many talented wide receivers, and you won't get to run, okay? You want your assets and your skill set to match, and that's not the place for you, okay? That's not the place for you. Go somewhere where you can succeed running the ball.
No, he can throw.
I know he can throw, but what I'm saying is they're going to turn him into a traditional quarterback, and I don't want him to do that. I think he should go somewhere. It has nothing to do with my self-interest for my team. It has everything to do with this guy is a phenom. He should go to somewhere like, for instance, there's a lot of people shopping for him. The New York Jets want him. Denver's going to be getting rid of Russ after this year. Just something to think about, man. You're going to get tagged, to be honest. That's the reality, Lamar. This year you're getting tagged. Yeah. I think we were discussing possibly having this as a conversation, but Lamar ain't going anywhere this year. He's getting tagged.
Who wants to contract? Quarterback that you would take if you were the coach of a team, a quarterback that's potentially free that you would be looking for, Trey or Sahi?
I'll go next. I know I was talking about Joe Burrow earlier. I really like Joe Burrow. I was dogging on him when he first came in. But I'm going to go with Jalen Hurts. And all the points that Richie made earlier, but honestly, he doesn't play outside of himself. He knows exactly what he is. He knows exactly what he's not, and he plays to that, and he's just a fucking good leader. When you hear the players talk, they just had AJ Brown was just on a podcast, and he was talking to Jeffrey Lurie. He was like, listen, if y'all don't pay that man, wherever he go, just send me.
I'm going.
That's where I'm going. Not Travis. Jason Kelce. Yeah, Jason said that he was about to retire, and he stayed to be with Jalen Hurts. Like, that's how impactful Jalen Hurts is, and he's clearly putting in the work, and he's being a leader. You hear him talk. He's not a man of many words, but when he does speak, it has meaning, and it's very impactful. So if I'm starting a team, if I had to have a quarterback, I'd choose a leader who's also physically gifted. So that would be Jalen Hurts for me.
All right, we got 2 for Jalen Hurts. Sahi, if there was a quarterback that's got a potential opportunity to leave their team now and you could get him, who would you want?
Aaron Rodgers. Without a doubt. He's a veteran guy. He's won a Super Bowl. He just doesn't always have the team that he needs around him. Green Bay is a good organization, but they're not a great organization. You take Aaron Rodgers and you put him on the Cowboys. Do the Cowboys beat the 49ers in the playoffs?
No,
Y'all don't think so?
no.
I don't know. I feel like they do. With that defense,
Aaron Rodgers
um,
lost to Jimmy Garoppolo, and I think Brock Purdy is better than Jimmy Garoppolo. So
Well, right now, anybody.
well,
could beat
that,
the 49ers in the
I
playoffs. They don't
I
have a
know
quarterback.
this is media, and media does that. Rodgers lost to Jimmy Garoppolo. No, they don't actually. They're not on the field at the same time. It's a team game, so you got to
cool.
think about the whole. You got to think about the whole team. Like, yeah, Jalen Hurts is the hot name now, but did the Eagles go to the Super Bowl because of Jalen Hurts, or do they have one of the best rosters in the NFL? They traded and got AJ Brown. The reason why the Titans off GM got fired is because of that trade. They had all kind of weapons. They have a number one receiver in Devontae Smith and AJ Brown on the other side. Who do you got at tight end? And look at that defense. You know what I'm saying? They got an all-star defense. They the Eagles had a great team. Yeah, Jalen Hurts benefited from that. That's why getting drafted into a good situation is always key. But if you say you put Jalen Hurts on the Patriots, is he going to take them to the playoffs? No,
Mac Jones got to the
no,
playoffs.
no, not this year.
Not this year, but he did.
No, but this is the year that Jalen Hurts went off when everything just clicked for Jalen Hurts, and he's the guy. And you know what I'm saying? Give me the veteran guy that knows what he's doing, that's proven it year in and year out, back-to-back MVPs. He has a Super Bowl. I'd rather trust that guy. If I have a team today and Aaron Rodgers is available, that's the number one guy you go after. In my
Aaron
opinion.
Rodgers 39, bro.
Hey, Tom Brady played to 45. I
Yeah,
think
Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron-
Jalen Hurts is like 25.
If Aaron Rodgers
24.
decides to play, he could give you a good 4 years. and that's the window. Most coaches aren't going to last that long anyway if you don't win.
I'll say this with Sahi, realistically, regardless of how long we want to talk about a player's career, I think you generally look at like 4 or 5 years as like your next move, right? I agree with you to your point. Jalen Hurts could be, 10 years plus, but I agree. Aaron Rodgers could easily have 5 more years in him. Who's to say he couldn't? I know what you're saying about like it's not quarterback versus quarterback, but I mean, are you going to say the Niner teams were better than the Packers? Like every year, the Packers had the better team on paper and record, so it's not like you can argue the Niners were better than the Packers, which is Trey's point of Jimmy Garoppolo and the worst team beat Aaron Rodgers and the better team every time. That's why it's always been kind of funny in terms of because he's from San Francisco area. He went to school here, and he just didn't get drafted here, and he got butthurt that they didn't draft him.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "I'm gonna show them they made a mistake," and he's never beat him in the playoffs.
And to your point, when he talks about he didn't actually play Jimmy Garoppolo, you're right. He plays that defense, and that defense kicks his ass every time.
The 49ers defense is great.
Yes, it is. It is.
Yeah.
And what
You have to have a
weapons
great
do
team in order to
the
win.
Packers have?
What weapons
They
do?
got some
I mean, right
weapons.
now, they got some guys.
They had Devontae Adams, but a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, you're gonna need a good tight end. You're gonna need a couple good receivers. Get him that. Let's see.
They never really gave him a great tight end in his entire career, in my opinion. I mean it. Like, I really don't feel like, we remember the Antonio Gates and all the talented tight ends.
He had James Jones.
Right. Well,
He was decent.
James is never like decent though, is what I'm right, but not like exceptional is what I'm getting at. He made James Jones look better than James Jones was, in my opinion. You put James Jones somewhere else, I don't think it works out the same way. And Jimmy Graham was a shell of himself by the time he got to Green Bay. That doesn't count.
Yeah.
Aaron's never really, in all fairness to Aaron, even though I always hate on him because he's not a real winner, in my opinion, they never gave him the talent he deserved. That's my opinion.
I feel like he should go to Atlanta. They got a lot of receiving talent down there.
Don't you ever put that on me.
With Kyle Pitts and them boys.
Don't you put that? Don't you put that?
Drake
juju on me.
London.
Don't you put that on me. I don't want that problem.
Why?
I
Why
do
not?
not like Aaron Rodgers. I don't. I think he's overrated. Like, he's not overrated. He's a great talent, but oh my God, he's so pretentious. He's football pretension. And I mean, he's like, the way he's holding up people. Oh, I'm not gonna make a decision. I'm gonna go into my 0 dark 30 room and I'm gonna sit like, fuck you, bro. Like, seriously, apologize. But like, honestly, he gets to the playoffs. He gets these MVPs. He gets to the playoffs, and what does he have to show for it? He's got 1 Super Bowl in fucking 20 years. Like, excuse me, I apologize. He gets me so heated. Like, he's a great regular season quarterback. He is. He's a great regular season quarterback. But when you put the lights on him, when it really counts, and you expect him to win, all of a sudden, oh, he doesn't have receivers. Oh, his defense sucks. I don't want to hear none of that. You're the greatest player of the football to ever, quote unquote, play the game. You want to be mentioned in the conversation with Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. Win some games.
You got you're welcome to come on the show and
man.
Here.
all I'm gonna say is I see Trey's spite supersedes his fandom, because in my opinion, if I'm Atlanta, with like to Sahi's point, they have a very talented team, and the one thing we talked about is we had to run the ball because Mariota is so terrible. You throw Aaron Rodgers in there, man.
Shit.
They can run.
You know, I'd rather see where Ritter.
We lost him.
We gonna wait, but I know he was gonna say about Ritter. He was.
He said he wanted to see what
Ritter's
can
grit.
do.
Oh, you're back.
Yeah, let's see what the guy Ritter can do. I'd rather go with him than to go with an aging Aaron Rodgers who may or may not have it anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, Trey, I feel you, but my thing is Ritter's still like a pet project coming from Cincinnati. I'm not a hater. I think he could be good, but like if you could get Aaron and let Ritter not learn from him, because Aaron's not exactly the best teacher from what I hear. But the point being is let Ritter learn over time and bench just for like 2 years while Aaron's like pushing it. I don't know, man. I feel like that's a win because right now they need something. I don't want to throw Ritter to the wolves right now. I think they need a veteran presence right now. Mm-hmm. Even if it's the dark.
Matt Ryan might still be available. Y'all could bring him back.
Mushrooms, and you could bring Matt Ryan back.
Why are we being disrespectful? Aaron Rodgers. Matt Ryan wanted to move on to greener pastures. He went. And he got what he got. Good luck to him.
Hashtag Aaron. All right, you guys.
He got what he got.
He got what he got. Let's. You guys brought up a good point. Let's do this. I've got some quarterbacks here. A couple that we talked about. You guys picked Jalen Hurts, and then Sahi picked Aaron Rodgers. I'm going to go through this list of quarterbacks. Where's the best fit? And this can be where they are now, if you want it to be. Okay. So let's start it off with Jalen Hurts. Where's the best fit for Jalen Hurts?
Philadelphia.
Yep, Philly.
They can run great. AJ Brown and Devonta Smith, like they have everything. They're loaded. They have a great line. There's nowhere he could go. Not that he would be successful, but there's nowhere he could go where he'd be more successful. That team is perfect for him.
Yeah, and Philly's behind him. Like that fan base had rallied. He is a god to them.
Yeah,
Like I mean, if you can get Phillies fans behind you, you really don't need to go anywhere else.
And they boo Santa Claus, by the way. So.
Yeah, I mean, and like Richard was saying, they have everything built around them. I think they need another running back, but they have everything built around them. They have Devonta Smith and AJ Brown. They're going to be there for a while. He has an offensive line. I think Kelsey's going to come back, honestly. And with him anchoring the offensive line, they're going to make another run at it. They're going to lose probably Ndamukong Suh. They might lose a couple of other pieces. I think they have like 10 people. They have like 10 people on free agency or something like that. They're going to figure something out. They're going to retool, but I think they're going back.
think Ndamukong Suh is just trying to collect jerseys at this point. That guy bounces around more than I did in college. So the next quarterback we have, I burned myself.
Where do you think he's gonna go?
Oh yeah, I thought he's.
Jalen Hurts, Philly. Yeah, he should stay in Philly.
He said stay in Philly.
Yeah, okay. I thought.
He kind of said it when I was saying it, so that's why I just assumed he meant the same thing.
Next quarterback is Daniel Jones, guys. Where do you think the best fit for Daniel Jones would be?
You better stay with Daboll.
Did you see what he looked like before Daboll?
Did y'all see what he's asking for?
Yes.
I heard somebody say 45.
My man want 40 mil.
45 mil.
Here's the crazy thing. The crazy thing, he's worth it. But the sad part about it is he hasn't played like he's worth it his whole career. Maybe a couple games, like that one playoff game where he ran a bunch of times. Yeah. He's kind of got that CJ Stroud syndrome. He's got all the tools. He can really sling the ball. He's really good, but he just doesn't play like that on a consistent basis. And to get $45 million, good Lord. But I feel like his best landing spot would be like the Dolphins, maybe the Vikings if they want to get rid of Kirk Cousins. Somewhere where they don't need great quarterback play, they just need well enough, And that's what Daniel Jones is. He'll probably get 28, 29 million a year. Not no damn 45. Good Lord.
In all seriousness, no, he's gonna get franchise tag based on his asking price. I actually believe Pittsburgh is his best spot. I do mean that. I think he's more of that run-first quarterback, the opposite of Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts can run, but he can throw. I think Daniel Jones has really – how do I want to say this? He passes well on first and second down. He actually led the league in completion percent on first and second, but he was dead last in third down. So what do you do with a quarterback who struggles on the clutch plays? You give them every wide receiver on the planet. That's what Pittsburgh does year in and year out. That's why I think he'd be a good fit for Pittsburgh, actually. I know they have Kenny Pickett, but we're talking about where I think he fits. I think he fits best with Pittsburgh.
We can roll this into that franchise tag conversation as well. If you think he's going to get tagged,
he's going to get tagged. I'm just throwing it in there. He ain't going to get $45 million.
He's going to see that there's not really a market out for him, and he's going to take the deal.
Yeah, he's going to get tagged. He'll play another year out, and unless he balls out again, they ain't paying him $45 million. He's going to have to ball out like that again. And I don't think he got that in it.
He played well, but I don't think he balled out. Saquon Barkley carried him. In my opinion.
I'll say this. I don't disagree with you, but you got to, like, when I say ball out, I say over 70% completion rate, fewest interceptions in the league, less than 1.9% like throws were intercepted. And, they went from 4-12 to, or whatever, 4-13 to like into the playoffs. Like, you can't ask more from a guy or any team than that. He didn't turn the ball over. He was way better than he's ever been. I agree with you on Saquon, though.
That's a direct product of having Saquon Barkley behind you. If you're doing that and you're loading the box, and the coach, obviously he has to see that, but if you're loading the box up to stop Saquon, or you're keying in on Saquon, your play action, you're going to be 60, 70%. Because you're going to have wide open receivers.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't disagree with you. And that's why I think he's going to get tagged. Like your point is we don't know anything about this guy other than Saquon Barkley had a hell of a year, and he didn't turn the ball, and Daniel Jones didn't turn the ball over. And he can run the ball. We learned that. Right. He's a big boy. He can run the ball, and he didn't turn it over last year. But can he do it again?
He's like the same age as Stetson Bennett or something.
No, Stetson Bennett is way
older.
I feel like you guys
are Stetson Bennett is like my accountant. He's like 33 years old.
Yeah.
All right. Next quarterback, we had quite the discussion about him already. Aaron Rodgers, where would be the best fit for him, or do you think Green Bay will shoot to tag him?
The Raiders.
What do you think? Oh, okay.
The Raiders.
Hey,
I
they have an opening.
I honestly think that they should have done before the season. They should have did just an even swap. They should have traded Carr. The Packers should have got Carr, and then and the Raiders should have got Aaron Rodgers. It would be a match made in heaven with Aaron Rodgers being in Las Vegas. He gets Devontae Adams back. He's got a tight end that you said that he needed. He's got Winfrow.
Darren Waller.
He's got Darren Waller. He's got Winfrow. He's got it. The defense is supposed to be better than what it was. They're supposed to play better.
And Josh Jacobs.
And he's got a running back. I think that would be the perfect spot for him.
Wow, Trey almost sold me on that immediately. And I say almost because I just can't go with it. I'm not disagreeing with it, but that's not who I had in my head, so I got to stick with who I had in my head. I'm actually going to go with the Miami Dolphins. I think they're explosive. I think with Tua right now, we don't know. The concussion, it's tough to know. And I think the Dolphins are in a situation where they have lots of talent on rookie contracts for the most part outside of Tyreek. So you want to take advantage of that 3 to 4 year window we were talking about earlier with Aaron. I think he's a perfect fit for Miami. You get a veteran quarterback because all year y'all were blasting Tua. Man, the Cheetah and them would have had 2,000 yards apiece, Jalen Waddle and Cheetah, if they had a quarterback. So that's why I think Aaron would be perfect in that as well. I think the Raiders one was one I didn't think about, and that's also great because Darren Waller and Josh Jacobs would make that man's life. But I think Miami would be fantastic for him because he's a slinger, and those are two of the fastest wide receivers in football.
Yeah, I was going to say the Raiders too. I totally feel like I've been feeling like that ever since there was a post on Facebook or something, and it had Aaron Rodgers, and then it had the Raiders logo, and then the way Aaron Rodgers had his hair and stuff that day in that pic, he just looked like the Raiders logo. He just looked like a cartoon version, like the cartoon looked like him, and it just seems like a match made in heaven. He's like the villain of the NFL, of the quarterbacks and all that. And just
did he have an eye patch, Sahi?
Yeah, to be in that silver and black, and you're in Las Vegas, Sin City. We got the NFL's villain, the most hated quarterback. Aaron Rodgers, it's just perfect. And because of the reasons. Yeah, they got the script out. It just seems too perfect,
And the Super Bowl is going to be there next year.
And the Super Bowl is going to be there.
Right. What the commentators always say, they say, you couldn't write a script better than this. Couldn't write a script better than this. They say that every time. But yeah.
Meanwhile, in the script writing room.
Oh, so we couldn't write a script better than that, eh?
How about we put the
1 year later?
Yeah.
All right. So well, speaking of which, let's talk Derek Carr. Derek Carr, do you think he'll get tagged, or is there a better home for Derek Carr?
Well, this is a weird one. I'm going to start just because the other boys have been going ahead. The GM said they don't have their quarterback plans in lock, which is what's so weird about this. I don't foresee any circumstance though where they would tag him and bring him back after the drama, and honestly Derek throwing some shade at the organization in the Pro Bowl and subsequently, and he's got a lot of interest with the New York Jets. But he's going to take his time and look at all of his options. I like Derek Carr. I think he's a world beater. You threw Devontae at him. They paid Darren Waller. You have Josh Jacobs. And don't get me wrong, I'm not blaming him for what happened with Las Vegas. That's obviously on the coach. But I am going to say this. I just don't see, even with the weirdness of the GM saying, we don't have a quarterback plan, he can't go back, right? He doesn't want to go back. Then I don't see where they would attack him and force him to come.
But they released him.
That'd be. Oh, they did release him already. Okay, my bad. I didn't know they officially released him. Oh yeah, that makes sense because of $45 million. Yeah. Okay.
Yep. He wouldn't accept a trade or anything.
My bad. Yeah, because he wouldn't accept a trade. Thank you guys. My brain was scattered there. Okay. Where do I think he'll go? The Jets are the first number one pick, yada, yada, yada. That's who wants him. I don't think he's going to go there. I actually would be more intrigued, believe it or not, to see him go to a team like Tennessee, who's been trying to dump Tannehill. I think that that's a place where he could succeed, because right now the dude's kind of like, I feel like not his ego, but like his confidence is a little shot. Like he wasn't playing that great last year. He really wasn't. And I think playing in Tennessee, where they can optimize his performance, and obviously having Derrick Henry to work, would be great. The other one I was thinking before this was originally going to be Minnesota, but I just don't think that'll happen. So I'm more likely expecting Tennessee. They've been trying to offload Tannehill somehow. So I think that would be a good landing spot for him. I think it's a conservative spot for him to go, where they're dying for a quarterback. It's a fantastic coach who would use him effectively. And we can see what he's actually capable of, because I feel like he's been one of those talents where it's like, he's pretty good, but I don't think he's like a top 5. He's always kind of like top 10 to top 15. And I think Tennessee is like that destination where he would have the best opportunity to succeed. I know he has what it takes to handle the New York media, but I don't see the Jets as the best spot for him. I know the Jets want him, but I don't think it's the best spot. So I'm going to stick with Tennessee.
Yeah, I'm going to say the best spot, Derek Carr. Actually, the team he visited with, the New Orleans Saints. They've got a great defense. They got Michael Thomas, Chris Olave, Alvin Kamara out there.
Do they really have Chris Thomas, though? I mean, that boy had...
I mean, they got the rights to him. They just said, let me just say that. They got Michael Thomas's right. So, I mean, with that point being said, how Michael Thomas is never there, but you can always get a receiver, right? Draft is going to be loaded with receivers. So I feel like Derek Carr would have a nice fit with any team in the NFC South right now. All the teams like the Panthers, Saints, Falcons, Buccaneers, all got pretty good defenses and pretty good offensive talent. Philosophies are a little different with each one, but I'm going to stick with the New Orleans Saints. I'm just glad he decided not to go.
Now that Sahi said that, I would love him on the Falcons. I would love him on the Falcons, but my original team, I was going to say he needs to check out Washington.
Another good.
I think Washington they have a great defense there. I can't remember their receiver's name, but I like him.
Terry McLaurin? Terry?
Yeah. They have good receivers. I just think that he would bring that franchise, and then it'll be nice for freaking Bieniemy. I think Bieniemy could use a good quarterback like Derek Carr, a mature quarterback, so that he doesn't have to like coach up. He's pretty coachable already. So,
and they're in the same division. They've been in the same division for all this time that he knows Derek Carr. Makes sense.
Yeah, they just picked up Kansas City's offensive coordinator, right?
Mm-hmm. That's what he's talking about, Eric Bieniemy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Eric Bieniemy.
Oh, you're muted, Richie.
I think that boy finally made the right decision and left Kansas City, because he's never going to get a head coaching job as long as he's under Andy Reid. Like, he's got to go make his statement.
All those other guys got coaching jobs under Andy Reid. That's that bullshit, man.
Nah, it's not that bullshit. Like
is.
For real, I mean it. No. Like, because I am very like Rooney Rule. It's people always go around it, bro. Lots of black coaches have had opportunities. He's not getting it because the dude just isn't getting it done. Like, in terms of the interview process. And here's the problem. And this is on Andy Reid. This is my point. Andy Reid calls the plays, and that's why they're like, okay, well, if he's the offensive coordinator but he's not calling the plays, do we trust him? And then he goes in there in the interviews. This is his opportunity, and I hope, and that's what I believe. This dude is the reason the Chiefs are successful. I'm not saying it's Andy Reid. What I'm saying is people, because he's not calling the plays, they don't give him any credit. That's the problem. Like, that's the problem right now. And as long as he's under Andy Reid, who's the one calling the plays, they're always going to be like, oh, it's Andy Reid, obviously. Andy Reid's offenses have been number 3 for 15 years, and that's why this dude's never got a shot. So I'm glad he's getting out of that bullshit, so he actually has an opportunity. So if Washington, which, we don't know, but if Washington starts rolling, then the dude can finally get a job. Because even Kansas City, I forgot which coach it is. Like, when Reed leaves, they weren't even going to give it to Bieniemy. It was going to be like one of the other dudes. I forgot the guy's name. Maybe Jordan knows. But if not, next week I'll bring the coach's name. Like, the Kansas City plans on elevating, which is the problem with this whole situation. Like, how can the organization itself say he deserves to be a head coach, but then they're not going to make him the next head coach? Like, he's not in their plans.
The trick is,
I just don't think he's going to be.
I think with what he got going on right now, I think Derek Carr he needs a professional at quarterback, and Derek Carr.
No, that's what I'm saying. I think this is a perfect match. What you just said, that would be amazing, and I think they could make magic, for real. I didn't even think about that. That would be a fantastic. Man, I hope he goes there.
They just need, if you want to get Andy Reid out of his position, trailer cheeseburgers right to the retirement home. And never see
it. Hey, savage.
That's not a fat joke. The whole team bought him a cheeseburger for Christmas.
That's because that's what the boy likes. Leave him alone.
He likes cheeseburgers, man.
He's in the city of barbecue, but if he wants a cheeseburger, that's fine. That's all right. Go down to New Orleans and eat sushi, I guess. All right. Lamar Jackson, last one we got, and then I have a quick fun shot. And we'll get on out of here. Lamar Jackson, is he getting tagged? Richie, I think you called that a little bit earlier. Do you think he's getting tagged? Or
he shouldn't. He shouldn't. But he getting tagged. I'm interrupting you. I know you said where's the best destination. He's getting tagged. So we don't even need to finish that sentence. Because the best location for him is anywhere else but Baltimore. But Baltimore are jerks. They're not going to pay him his money, and they're going to tag him. Because he wants, and this is what's egregious about this to me. This fella was asking for $50 million, which is totally reasonable when you consider the talent that Lamar Jackson is. We just talked about Daniel Jones wants 45. This guy's only asking for $5 million more than what Daniel Jones is asking for, right? Now, the reason why Baltimore is not thrilled with it is because of Deshaun Watson. So they're trying to make Deshaun Watson look like the villain and Cleveland Browns look like the villain. Baltimore is. Because what they're saying is that amount of guaranteed money doesn't work for us, buddy. We believe in you, but we don't want to give you all that guaranteed money. And that's what it's not the $50 million ask, it's the guaranteed portion. I think he wanted $150 million guaranteed, and Baltimore wanted to give him 80. So since there's this big gap, that's why he's going to get tagged. He shouldn't get tagged. He should get all that money in the world because that coordinator was the worst coordinator on the planet, Greg Roman. They finally got rid of his ass. And, we'll see what Lamar can do when he's unchained and, actually has the ability to have somebody use him dynamically. But unfortunately, he will get tagged this year, and the dude's going to have to play another year and prove it, which he shouldn't have to prove it because the dude's been electric for the last, 4 years? It's insane. But I believe he will get tagged.
If I was him, I'd sit out. If I get tagged, I wouldn't play. If I was him, especially with his track record, I wouldn't tag. But I feel like the best spot for him, although I do think he's going to get tagged, is Miami.
That'd be amazing.
Home. Yeah, he'll go back home. They have 2 stud receivers on the outside. They have a running back. And I think that would be must-see TV.
Yeah. I don't disagree with you. That'd be amazing. I just, unfortunately, since it's not going to happen, I can't even postulate that.
Yeah. But I do think if they do tag him, then if I was Lamar, don't play. Don't play. Because if he gets hurt, that's that long-term contract that he wants with the guaranteed money is gone.
I mean, I agree with you, but here's my problem with when you sit out. When you sit out, you tend to have problems later. That happened to a little certain running back with the Steelers where he sat out and I don't blame him. He should have sat out, like you're saying, because they ran him into the ground. Into the ground. And that's what his whole argument is dude, if you're going to run me this hard, then you need to pay me. And they wouldn't do it. But unfortunately for him, and he did get his money at least, but he wasn't able to keep up his performance. And that's my only concern for Lamar. It's not that, he should sit out. I agree with you, but
Yeah.
my concern is then his skills might drop, and that's the problem. And then you run into the situation of your skills drop, and then nobody wants to pay you.
I feel like it's a lot more for a running back. I feel like it'd be a little bit different. And Lamar's not the type to sit out anyway. He's gonna honor his contract. I feel like.
Yeah.
I don't think he's a sit out type, but if he gets an ache, I'm not playing this week. If he gets a ache, nope, not playing. Absolutely not. I need to be evaluated. Can I get a second opinion? I'm gonna reevaluate it.
I feel like this is gonna sound kind of weird, but Lamar Jackson's legacy now is about can he win a Super Bowl? Can he win championship?
Yeah,
and
I agree with you.
Baltimore has been built for Lamar Jackson, but unfortunately, Baltimore is in a division where it's a fight to the playoff. Really, you got the Bengals, you got the Browns, and you got the Steelers. You got to see them all the time. Lamar Jackson, you don't want to go through that all regular season. We need you just getting to the playoffs, guaranteed. All right, and then you can show out in the playoffs because that's what is all the regular season stuff and accolades. You can throw it about the door. Lamar Jackson just has to get to the playoffs by any means. And the best team, I feel like to give him the opportunity to do that year in and year out
the Falcons.
is no.
I know
No.
this.
Heck no. It is the Houston Texans. All right.
What?
Yeah, sounds crazy.
Not what I thought he was gonna say.
I know. I was waiting for the Buccaneers. So
They have to
please
do with
don't.
Jacksonville. They have
Uh-uh.
to do with Jacksonville for the foreseeable future.
Jacksonville's a flash in the pan. All right.
Ooh.
You got to show me consistency. I feel like that division, that's easy for the takings. You got the Titans. They were the number 1 seed in the AFC 2 years ago.
They were.
Fraud.
And everybody was injured this year, in all fairness to them.
And you got the Colts. They hired a guy off ESPN to be the head coach. All right. So their team ain't nowhere near going to the play or at least contending. You go to the Texans, you draft a few pieces, you can really sneak and hide and slide your way into the playoffs right under the radar. All right. And you ain't got to see Patrick Mahomes and them 2 times a week, two times a year. You ain't got to see Joe Burrow 2 times a year. You got to go see Trevor Lawrence. Anybody sold on Trevor? No. The Colts, they don't have a quarterback. Who's the Tennessee Titans? They don't have Malik Willis. You sold on that? No, come on now. If I was a quarterback, I would be salivating to. If I was Derek Carr, Aaron Rodgers, now that I'm thinking about it, I'll be salivating to go to the Texans. Good draft capital. Hey, you ain't got to be that great. All right.
Wow. You know,
Sorry. I'm sorry to say, but my guy, but the Jaguars are here.
Nah.
They are here. They're getting Ridley next year off of suspension. They got Kirk. They have a tight end. The defense is straight, and then they got he got his boy ETN at running back, and Sunshine is coming. Everything that they were saying about him from Clemson is starting to sound true. He carried them into the playoffs.
Don't be a prisoner of the moment, Trey.
I was down on him. Remember, I was down on him.
he was down on him.
I was down on him. He has converted me. Sunshine could make the throws. He didn't have the coaching. That was his problem. And now he's got a coach.
I'll tell you what. Sahi, after looking at every conference and every division, I see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
I don't think you can.
And if what Trey is saying is true, all you got to do is just get past Trevor Lawrence. Just sneak past him.
You might not even have to get past Trevor Lawrence. I'm just saying they're not going to win the division.
All I'm saying is this. Here, to Sahi's point, because at first I was like scratching my head. To Sahi's point, if you go to the AFC East, you got Miami, New England, the New York Jets, and Buffalo, right? Very competitive. You go to the AFC North, which we're already in. We already discussed Deshaun Watson and Joe Burrow. Like, not fun. You go into the AFC West. There's Denver, Kansas City, the Raiders, and the Chargers. Incredibly like challenging positioning. AFC South, that's just the AFC. You already talked about the South. The NFC East is the Cowboys, the Giants, the Eagles, and the Commanders. Theoretically, we have Derek Carr going to the Commanders, so he can't go there. Then you go to the NFC North, and you got the Packers, the Vikings, the Lions, and the Bears. Like, the only other place is the South. That's the only other argument. I thought he was going to go with the Buccaneers. That's what I was waiting for the whole time. But if he's not going to go with the NFC South, it's not a terrible argument. It's not I don't know if I agree with it, but I understand the logic. It caught me off guard, and I applaud you for such a creative, different take. I didn't see that coming. I was really expecting the Buccaneers thing because, if you're like 30 teams in the NFL, you would beg for Lamar Jackson. So that's exactly why I was just like,
well, Bucks ain't got the cap space. We ain't got the money for it.
You're right. They're eating the Brady thing. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Fair enough.
Trey,
you leverage your future for your present, and you got a Super Bowl.
Kyle Trask, let's go.
just remember, Trey, the sun may be shining when you wake up in Jacksonville, but it rains at least twice a day, every day.
Mm-hmm.
Every day. I don't know. Jacksonville, I'm still trying to get over the beginning of last season with all that craziness. All right, my fun shot. It's going to be a real quick one because we're almost out of time here. But we have talked about this man before. We've talked about whether or not the script needs to come out when we're talking about this man. But he's got a fight coming up, and it's a mere 4 days away in a town I can't pronounce in Saudi Arabia. Jake Paul has another matchup. Tommy Fury, this is the third attempt to put on this fight. Rather than a big pay-per-view for all the millions of dollars he likes to get, you can watch this one right on ESPN Plus. Shouts out to ESPN for the story. Guys, do you think Jake Paul will win? A lot of calls for a knockout. Or do you think it's all about this?
For me, Jake Paul win this fight. He pound for pound number one. Who did it like Jake Paul coming from YouTube? And he just knocking everybody out. Starting with Nate Robinson taking a dive. Then he whooped Ben Askren. Then he went on and dismantled man. I mean, up on the fight. This is really happening. I feel like it's I don't know. I feel like Tommy Fury and them got real bad blood, so I think this is for real.
Listen,
But
if I was Jake Paul, I'd be scared of this fight. The Furies are a well-known English gang family. Like, that's a real thing. So if I was him, I'd do my best to keep him on the happy side.
Yeah.
Cleveland's known for a lot of talk and no backup. Richie, we know you're a big fan of combat sports. What do you think about Jake Paul going over to Saudi Arabia to finally put on a fight against Tommy Fury?
This is painful for me to discuss because you just said I'm a fan of combat sports, which I am, and this is almost completely a sham. However, the question is who's going to win. I'm going with Jake Paul.
Jake Paul's going to win, for sure.
I'm going with Jake Paul. He's a big boy, and I'll tell you what, man. I'm not saying he's ever going to be, pound for pound number one, like you said. But what I will say is he's got the physical. Like, him and Logan are very physically athletic people. Yeah, like they're both physically athletic. Like, Logan Paul's like wrestling, but Jake is the boxer, and Jake can fight. Now, and so I feel like Tommy Fury is also. He's like 23 if I remember right. He's a young dude, so easily young people tend to just go head first into things, and I wouldn't want to go head first into Jake Paul. I do believe Jake Paul will win this.
All right, there you have it. I will say, to your point, Richie, the two biggest surprises that I've seen in wrestling that you brought it up in the past probably 5 years, was Pat McAfee for one, but Logan Paul last year and now into this year, incredibly athletic and a hell of a wrestler. Like, I don't know where this came from, if he was doing it all the time, underground somewhere or what, but fantastic. All right. Anything else? We missed anything? You guys ready to wrap it on up?
Yeah, let's get on out of here.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you all for checking out the Wire Sports Podcast. You can find all of our previous episodes, including our Super Bowl part 1 and then the advertised part 2 that we didn't get to stream of the Wire Sports Podcast. You can see all of seasons 1 through 9 on YouTube. And of course, you can get to everything Wire Sports Podcast at h2gradio.com. Speaking of which, we got some other fantastic shows. Free Mess on Fridays. Every weekend, you have an opportunity to catch some fantastic content. I don't know what you're doing if you're not catching it. Big news in the true crime for the innocent mind world. We've decided to go all live. The Wire Sports Podcast has been doing some real big things with going live. So now True Crime will be coming soon, season 2, live. And so you'll be able to go and still listen to it on audio if that's what you want to do. But you can see us on YouTube, and that gives us the opportunity to bring in some photo evidence and some pictures and stuff like that. So for you real weirdos out there like us,
is that same time live?
I think it's gonna. I think
what
we're
the
gonna go
fans
for
doing?
a Saturday night, late night. I think True Crime calls for having a drink, candy, and whatever else you might be recreationally into, depending on the state you live in. So, just making it a party. And we will have more details coming to the website, and we'll definitely bring it up on the show here when that comes out. But yeah, and everybody is welcome, obviously, always to come and talk true crime. I think we're gonna kick it off with some wacky true crime stories from 2022, and then get into that Ted Bundy as promised. So lots going on in H2G Radio. If you want to get involved, there's a contact page right there on the website. I think that's it. Live, laugh, love like it's your last.
Yeah, I got.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I was just gonna say I got one more thing to say, and that's like a cold summer afternoon, like the snow coming down in June. Football, I'm gonna be missing you. You know.
Fair.
That was fantastic. That almost
That
made
was
me
good.
cry. All right.
No,
Yeah,
that's I forgot. Yeah, I messed that one up. I messed that up. I messed it all the way up. People that know that song are gonna be like, "Bro, you messed it up."
You want to take
Because I'm
we can
saying
give
it,
you a
not
take
singing
two.
it. No, it's all good. I'll run it back somewhere.
All right, we'll see you next Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern here on the Wire Sports Podcast, h2gradio.com. Live, laugh, love like it's your last, and stay classy, fuckers.
Yeah. Football, come back. I hate the XFL.